Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and I'm back with my plans and pans. Well, we have had a 2-week break from Washington, D.C. I just finished the first week. And I really enjoy that because I get to spend more time within the 9th Congressional District, meeting with different companies and organizations, and it's really a treat to be home. The week began with a press conference that I had along with Senator Dick Durban and Kwame Raoul, who is the state's Attorney General. The three of us had a press conference that was focused on illegal robocalls. You know, sometimes calling dozens of times in one day. We've gotten calls from people who have said that they are really distressed by people who are trying to sell them things, etc. People who have already filed for do not call. If you haven't done that, you should, because that's a way that would limit the number of calls that you get. But I want to be very clear that this doesn't include emergency calls. You know, if there's a threat from bad weather, if there's important information that might come to you, a school closing, information that you want. And so Dick Durban and I have introduced a bill that would allow consumers to be able to sue someone who has broken the do not call rule. Do not call means do not call in the instances where you don't want to have these calls. Also, I had an interesting experience with 100+ staffers of Senator Durbin. He does this once a month where he connects his staff with elected officials. I was privileged to be able to talk to his staff and basically just answer questions. They wanted to know a little bit about my history, what issues I think are important, what are the kinds of issues that I want to work with Senator Durbin on. I mentioned that Senator Durbin, over 20 years ago, began with immigration reform and trying to help what we call the dreamers, the young people who came to this country with parents that were not documented at the time, and was trying to help them get rights to work and go to college. So I said that the issue of immigration, that I share that passion with Senator Durbin, and we have a lot of work still to do on that. So talking to these young people for about an hour, and Senator Durbin dropped in and asked a few questions as well. And it was really a pleasure to be able to do that. And if it had any inspiration for young people seeking public service, then I'm really happy to do that kind of work. And then I had a brand new experience. I was able to go to the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. This is an institution that has been around for a very long time, from the early 1900s, really, 1920s, that the Federal Reserve banks around the country have been developed, and the one in Chicago represents 7 states and 23,000 employees. The goal of the Federal Reserve Bank is to maintain stable prices and also to maximize employment. We were greeted by Austin Goolsbee, who for the last year has been the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. I know him because he was working on financial issues in the Obama administration. The meeting we had began with wonderful economists who gave us a very detailed briefing on research that they have been doing on childcare. We also learned through their research that single mothers spend 37% of their income on child care. For married couples, 11% of income goes into child care. Clearly, this is a kind of crisis in the United States of America, that we don't have any policy to make sure that we take care of children. During the pandemic, millions of women left the marketplace altogether because they had to stay home and take care of their children. And it's still so difficult to be able to afford childcare in the United States. So this is research. The Congress itself is working on that. And fortunately, we were able to do in the last budget agreement to add some money for childcare so that we could make it easier for mostly women, not only women, to go to work in our country. We also had a behind-the-scenes tour down in the vaults where money, you can look through and see millions and millions of dollars, actually about $250 million in cash that runs through the lower level at the Federal Reserve Bank. It was a very interesting day, and I really wanted to thank President Goolsbee for being with us the whole time on this visit. Lots of questions that we have, he's going to be always available to answer. My husband Bob and I had the pleasure of an invitation by Bushra Amawala to attend a Ramadan iftar dinner. You know, those celebrations are the end of that night of Ramadan when you can eat. Then it's called the iftar dinner. Partnering with that was the Muslim Civic Coalition, and it was quite a beautiful celebration. Different speakers, different prayers, and we really were grateful to be there, along with a number of other elected officials who also were invited. Let me tell you a little bit about Bushra. She now serves on the Skokie District 73.5 School Board in Skokie and is doing a great job. She is a real trailblazer and still a very young woman. She is a force of nature and a fighter for the school children and also for equality for everyone to be able to run for elected office. So proud of her. So I want to say a happy Easter to those of you who celebrated this weekend. And I also want to say Ramadan Mubarak, a happy Ramadan. But I also want to say that it is my hope and my prayer and my mission in part, because as an elected official, I'd like to have some influence to end the terrible suffering that we are watching every day of the innocent people in Gaza. So I am looking forward to seeing you next week after another week in the district. And thanks for watching and listening. And if you have any questions of me, always feel free to call my staff or to call me in our district office. Thanks so much. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.